whole parts. I'm willing to take little tiny pieces.
There won't even be a scar.
I think I found the problem.
Oh, come on, you're the doctor.
Everyone, lights out and quiet.
Welcome back, wayward movie watchers, once again to the Media Morgue, where movies come to be examined. I'm Ethan Hawke, and I hate Marvel movies, but I'll do anything for a paycheck. And I'm joined by my fellow surgeons of cinema.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Hey, well, first of all, I'd like to say it's good to be back. I missed the pilot for this season. It's so nice to be here. And since I'm here, Danny could not be with us. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
No, Danny actually has strep. Danny, feel better.
Yes. Send out your.
You don't have to say that. He was eaten by Megan Fox, guys. The news needs to come out.
Yeah. Dan was found. They described him as, what do they call it? Lasagna with teeth.
I don't even know what that means.
But yeah, obviously it's Zack, and of course
it's me. I'm Megan Fox's new PR manager.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll be able to get her that career that she deserves.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, agreed. So this is the show, in case you don't know, where we review two movies, one that's a bit more popular, either by release date or general knowledge, and one that's a bit more faded, foreign, or obscure, and try to find a connecting thread so that you feel safer about broadening your cinematic horizons. Today, we're taking a look at Malignant, directed by James Wan from 2021, and then Wes will lead us through Jennifer's Body, directed by Karyn Kusama. Was that her name?
Karyn Kusama, and written by Diablo Cody.
Yes, written by Diablo Cody, which released in 2007. It's experiencing something of a cult revival. Oh. So it was
Was it 2007? It was that early? Oh my god!
I think so. Yeah, because it was either 2007 or 2009. Because I also looked up the release date of Teeth.
It's 2009. It's 2009.
Teeth came out in 2007 then, and I've never seen it, but it's a similar film from what I understand. So yes, Wes and I will be talking about Malignant, and then Zack will rejoin us for Jennifer's Body. Let
me just for the fans, because they will be looking for me when you talk about Malignant.
Obviously.
Now I went to watch it, and it just was gone. It wasn't there on HBO Max anymore. It had been taken out like 6 days prior or 4 days prior. I'm not sure. But anyway.
Ironically enough, I did pull up and scrub through just like 30 minutes before we got on, like a Solar Movies version of the movie. Right. It played pretty well. Could have sent it to you.
You could have told me.
If I thought, I thought you would have thought to do that.
So it was. You know what? We had let's just get into it. Let's let down the curtain a little bit. So guys, we also talking about Candyman. Wes and I both dropped the ball. We didn't remember.
I was like, Zack, I will get you the rented copy. And I texted Zack that as I was in a cab going to get a COVID test at the last minute for my new job. And then I left getting the COVID test and said, what a beautiful day, and forgot to get Zack that copy.
So it's Wes's fault. So that's why I won't be there, everybody. Just wanted to let you know.
But it's all love, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say about Jennifer's Body. But of course, before the reviews, we have the news. So
let me. Should I go? There's a trailer for The Black Phone. That was released recently, and so is that the same person that did Sinister, Wes?
It is. It's Scott Derrickson. Who I guess he came up with James Wan. They're both horror guys who did superhero movies briefly and then are back to horror.
Same generation,
and Ethan Hawke is his Robert De Niro. Ethan Hawke is his guy.
That's his guy.
Ethan Hawke is to Scott Derrickson as Patrick Wilson is to James Wan.
Absolutely, just like a moderately handsome white guy who plays all different roles in his movies.
It's actually kind of incredible that Ethan Hawke isn't in that Doctor Strange movie. I mean, I guess
he was in the final running for Strange.
For Strange himself, right?
Yeah,
Oh, that makes sense. I'm so glad it wasn't him. No offense.
Would have been weird.
I don't even know what I would have done with that.
Yeah, but this trailer,
anyway,
go ahead.
It looks cool. There's some. It's just not what I was expecting, right? I thought this was gonna be like a serial killer, like kind of straightforward, standard kidnapping, blah blah blah. But I thought that kid, by the way, the boy, I thought he was dead. Like when
Me too.
When he was taken, I was like, oh, what a fake out that he's the main character and then he's killed immediately.
Well, the Psycho where you kill the main
Yeah.
character halfway through the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, he's all tied up in the basement or whatever, and there's a black old dial phone, I'm pretty sure, that Ethan Hawke says hasn't worked since his childhood. Ethan Hawke has a very scary mask, and it becomes clear that this kid is talking to the ghosts of Ethan Hawke's past victims. So they're helping him try to escape. Now, Ethan Hawke, I'm pretty sure, he at one point says, "Put down that phone," and I'm just like, you have guessed that something is wrong, that he is getting help from somewhere, and he just doesn't think to like tape.
You
the
have
phone
identified an issue.
Yeah,
And come
he
up
just
with a
said-
solution.
No, he just lets him have it.
My favorite part of the trailer is when that kid is in the Brooklyn basement, and you start to see that it's not just a voice. It's like the kids are going to materialize
Yes.
in
Right.
the basement with them, and you
Yeah.
see like one kid like helping him throw something.
Yeah.
It just looked like a
Come on.
Scott Derrickson loves himself some dead kids, like some dead kids in his movies. He's like some dead ghost kids. That's me. That's my
Yeah.
brand.
And-
Good
And
for him.
I guess the idea is that like each one of these children has come progressively closer to escaping. So it's like they're
yes.
helping him put the pieces together,
Yes.
while also on the outside we can't forget that his friend, she's the other main character, and she's like basically psychic, and she's kind of helping the
Yes.
police.
Mhm.
She has
She
some
has
sort of connection to
dreams.
him through
Yeah.
his dreams, and she's
Yeah.
helping the police track him down. It looks very
Cool.
like it's one of those movies that could either be set in 1970 something or just in Utah. Like,
The same thing, basically.
yeah, they haven't progressed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I've seen Sinister. I remember being interested in it when the trailers came out,
It's a
but I
good
don't
one.
know if I ever sat down and watched the full thing. I like Doctor Strange, but it's it's pretty difficult to tell Derrickson's style in that movie.
Yeah.
So like this is clearly more the stuff that he's interested in doing.
Yeah. I think he left Strange because I guess he wanted to make Strange more of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because they hired Sam Raimi after.
Right. Exactly. That's interesting.
But apparently the villain was supposed to be Nightmare, and it was going to be a horror movie. And then they were like, "Fuck that! This is going to be a multiverse." And he was like,
Yeah.
Barely.
I'm out. I'm out."
Yeah, and I mean, and the weird thing is that Marvel has been like saying this is going to be our horror movie since Age of Ultron. Like
Yeah.
I remember reading an interview where they were saying like, oh yeah, this Ultron's kind of like a monster, and then he's cracking jokes
Nice try.
for that whole
he's
movie,
not.
which
Forgot the name for human children.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we'll see what Sam Raimi does with this second movie, but Black Phone, it might make its way on this show.
It will. It will.
By Wes's hand.
Yeah.
We are pairing it with Sinister, the best studio horror movie to come out in a decade.
Wow.
a big-
Bold
Fight
that's
me.
a big
Fight
one.
me. Fight me.
Wes is
Danny's
emboldened
scrambling.
by Danny's absence.
I'm just gonna be lighting off takes on this show while Danny's not here to check me.
But continuing with you, Wes, I know that you wanted to talk about the new trailer for Scream.
Scream! I do wish Danny was here for this. Danny shares my passion for the Scream movies. First Scream movie without Wes Craven, the horror movie God, directing it, R.I.P. But directed by the guys who made Ready or Not, which is a really, really fun horror movie. Also has Adam Brody, who's also in Jennifer's Body, playing a similar kind of scumbag.
Nice.
But it looks interesting. Honestly, it looks like a remake of the first one, which is why probably they're calling it just Scream and not Scream 5, because I assume what they'll do is they'll pick off at least one of the main three in this one and then start with the new kids, which
Okay.
looks to be
Okay.
what is happening. Because all those Scream movies end with all the new characters dying and just Sydney, Dewey, and Gail being left.
Great.
What
What was the
I hope that doesn't
point?
happen again. Hey,
Oh, and that girl from You season 2 is, if
Yes.
anybody, am I even okay? Great. So yeah,
yeah.
she's. It looks like she's taking the Drew Barrymore like intro, where you're like, oh, she's going to
Yes.
be a main character, and then she's killed immediately.
Yeah.
Love that.
I have only seen Scream, the original. I guess one of the things that kind of maybe people would say disqualifies me as like a horror fan, or just categorizes me, is that I'm not someone who seeks out like all these all the sequels in these different iconic chains. Like I usually, because I feel like when people ask me, oh, have you seen Friday the 13th or whatever, they're talking about the first one.
Yeah.
And then like if you get into a deeper conversation, like, oh yeah, and remember in
What about Jason Goes to Hell? Jason X.
Yeah. But so I've seen Scream and I really liked it. But what I was saying in our group chat is that I feel that this trailer is particularly indistinct from like any other contemporary horror movie trailer that we've seen in the past few years. It just kind of, I know that it's not going to feel like Scream, quote unquote, because like you just said, Wes isn't directing it. Wes Goodrich is directing it.
Not directing it, because I'm not directing it.
Yeah, the natural successor. But yeah, because Craven isn't directing it, and obviously there's been several years since the first one, but like it's clear that first movie has a personality in a way that like this trailer does not indicate. You know?
Yeah,
I
agree.
It just looks like like the Halloween Kills trailer, or like it's.
It looks exactly like it actually looks like the Halloweening of Scream in the sense that I mean we keep talking about this, the fact that like horror movies, the formula for the next, probably for the 2020s, will be take an old thing, bring back the original people and do a new gen thing and make it a little bit more self-aware. But Scream was already kind of doing that. Scream was already kind of riffing on Halloween anyway. So
I guess we have The Last Jedi to thank for that. I don't know.
We definitely have those. We definitely have those Abrams Star Wars movies to thank for that. But I don't know. I mean, I like a lot of the Netflix actors they've pulled to be in it. It seems funny that each Scream that comes out, they get the hottest teen actors at the time and then kill them off. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool just killing off Mason Gooding.
Who is that?
Mason Gooding is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, who's in Booksmart.
Hey,
he's a really he's a good actor, and it looks like he's just gonna eat it pretty early in the movie.
Yes, he's like running away, right? And then he just gets
please.
Yeah, they just show it.
Tough break for Mason Gooding, but we'll see. We'll see in roughly 3 months if this movie is good or if it's just a January release. Which is what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And they got the 13 Reasons Why kid in there, right? Dan's pretty upset about that, I think.
Yeah. It's him, and then they have Vanessa from In the Heights.
They do. That's right. I wasn't ready for that.
I didn't even. Her face is so forgettable to me that I didn't even register that I recognized that person. Wow,
I can't wait to see the two expressions her face makes.
Oh, and Courtney Cox is here. Nice to see.
She's
her.
Back. She's back.
I you know what though? It's a little jarring. Just like seeing her, I was like, oh, I feel like this is a scary movie, like trailer. You know what I mean? Like the scary movie series. Like I just wasn't. It just feels fake. I was like, this isn't real anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's so
like
wild about Scary
skit.
Movie. Scary Movie is essentially like a parody of Scream, and Scream is a parody of Halloween.
Yeah.
It's like it's just two levels.
It's the same movie.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's doing. And Scream's original name was Scary Movie, and then they made it Scream, and then Scary Movie took the Scary Movie.
That's
amazing.
That's cool. I'll just, my last thing here related to Courtney Cox is there's a little moment where she's standing with Neve Campbell, and Neve goes like, "You ready?" And Courtney Cox goes, "What?" Like she wakes up into the scene. And she goes, "Oh, for this?"
She wasn't in character.
Never. She didn't even know they were rolling. She literally, so maybe one less Ambien before the next take, Courtney. But so we'll see what's up with Scream. Finally, it's DC Fandom weekend. That's kicking off, and right ahead of the trailer that's dropping tonight, which we'll probably cover next session. Matt Reeves has released some promotional material for the Batman, which we now have a solid release date for, March 4th. We got some images. We got a poster of Robert Pattinson's Batman costume, bathed in the blood red, high contrast
the blood of his victims.
Exactly, because he will be killing people.
He will be murdering them.
And of course we also got the Riddler / Hush / Zodiac Killer combination with the note pointed toward the camera. And we got a little teaser with the bat signal lighting up, and we hear Pattinson say it's not a signal, it's a warning.
And we also got a picture of
Zoe Kravitz looking.
Zoe
just
Kravitz as Selena
beautiful.
Kyle.
They
Which
did.
is fantastic. Yeah, man.
Let me just.
You guys
Take
ever heard the story about why she wasn't auditioned for Catwoman in Rises?
No.
No.
Apparently, I guess she got put out by her agents. Like they put her on the audition, and they said she was too urban to play Catwoman.
Yeah. Well,
So
there you go. You know what's interesting is that when I think about like Frank Miller's interpretation of these characters and
Yep.
like how heavy his hand has been on all the Batman media recently,
Yep.
Yeah.
she is like a prostitute in the Dark Knight.
In year one. In year one.
Year one, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't actually know if did Frank Miller write Year One? Maybe
He did. Okay,
yes.
it's the better of the two stories.
So
Oh.
and I mean, so it's like, what does too urban mean for a character like that who is like she can be anyone because anyone can wind up in that aspect of life. Anyone could
Also like Selena Kyle has been black / non-white
all the
very
time.
often.
Most of the time.
I think she's canon as Cuban American in the comics.
Okay.
So that could mean anything.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
weird.
It seems like a weird hill to die on.
Yeah, and Anne Hathaway, you know, is fun in that movie.
Yeah,
But I'm
she's
definitely
good.
looking forward to Zoe's take on it. It already seems. I mean, you know, look, we've seen her in the little sock mask in
Love that.
the teaser, and we've seen this one image of her. I guess I'm just going off of how I know her to be as an actress.
Mhm.
I can imagine it'll be a very sultry performance,
Yeah.
very understated, very reserved, probably not that witty because this movie, I don't know. I mean, it could
Yeah.
surprise, but I don't necessarily see it having that much humor, except for like Colin Farrell's manic penguin performance.
Oh,
That's
God.
getting a spin-off. That's
No,
getting a
it's not.
spin-off.
No, it's
yes, it
not.
is.
He's
It's
gonna
getting
be
an
the
HBO
star.
It's
of
getting
his-
an HBO Max show, Zach.
Why? Don't do it
Is it just going to be? I don't understand. Is
The
it just
Penguin.
The Sopranos with
with the
with
penguin.
penguins?
It's gonna be Cobblepot. It's gonna be.
He did get a lot of that character did get a lot of love after those Telltale Batman like multiple
Gotham.
choice series and yes, the Gotham series as well. So I mean, I guess but yeah, well the other thing that dropped was that the initial cut of this movie is near to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wild.
God help us.
How are we feeling? Would we watch a 3 hour bat? I mean, I know.
Oh, hell yeah. Honestly, yes. I mean, like, I will do it. Like, I say, I like go into the theater, I'm like, oh, fuck this. And then I just end up like loving the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think for the stories they're trying to adapt, looks like Long Halloween and Hush in a combination.
Yeah.
Those are both really chunky stories,
Right.
and you probably do have to give some length to it.
Right.
How much it feels like they're really trying to make a David Fincher movie, which like I love David Fincher, but like I feel like these Batman movies are like what director do we wish could have made a Batman movie?
Yeah.
And then we're going to take their style, like Joker's Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
This is David Fincher. They're like, let's see who else we can. Maybe we'll look at I don't know, like who's another auteur that would never make a superhero movie? Let's see,
Paul
like
Thomas
a Safdie
Anderson?
Brothers Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. We'll see what this trailer holds, and our new segment might be entirely fandom next week because we're probably going to get Black Adam stuff.
Oh, I want Black Adam because I need to know if The Rock's rap is going to be featured in the trailer.
Oh my god!
That's all I care about. I just want that in. I need that. I just want that to be actually like a scene in the movie. Like it's just like like
it'll be
intro.
when he crash lands into the modern world. They're gonna play that song,
Yeah.
and that's what it's gonna be.
I can't believe that Black Adam is the co-star of Black Adam is Noah Centineo. It is just bad shit to me.
And then
that's
of
who
course,
they landed on.
Yeah, they were gonna make it a Black Adam movie, right? But now they're just putting him
It's
in
a JSA
Shazam too.
movie. It's a JSA movie now.
Oh, okay.
It's Black Adam, but the entire JSA is in it. So
Really?
it's a JSA movie. Yeah, it's gonna be Atom Smasher,
Atom
Hawkman,
Smasher,
Dr. Fate.
Jay Garrick.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, they'll save him for Flashpoint. That's a big
Do
one.
you think they're using Justice Society to like reboot Justice League because we don't know where that property is right now?
They've done it in the comics before, where JLA have been in a bad place and the JSA have become the team that people read the comics for. You know, hey, they could do it.
I always just think of them as a bunch of old men.
Old people, yeah. Like I just like getting bodied. I wouldn't trust them if they showed up to save me. I'd be like, I'm fucked. I think. Like I'm not making.
It's like, these are men are 80 years old. Like,
yeah.
They're World War I soldiers.
I think the real question that remains is whether or not they'll be giving The Rock a hairpiece for Black Adam. Is he going to have the widow's peak, or is he just going to be bald?
No.
It looks like he's bald in this.
He's bald,
set
but
photos.
I
It
want.
looks like he's bald.
I want at least a flashback with.
Can we? You know what I'm saying? Like Teth Adam in the old days with the afro. Yeah. Well, that does it for our news segment. We'll take our first break. Wes and I will break down Malignant. So stay tuned.
See you guys.
Hello, folks. We're back. Like we said up top, we're talking about Malignant, James Wan's return to form, from 2021, starring Annabelle Wallis, Maddie Hassan, George Young, Jacqueline McKenzie, and Nicole Brianna White, among other people. Screenplay by Attila Cooper.
And James Wan. I think James Wan also wrote it.
Got it. Well, he did put his name on this Wikipedia article, I guess.
Wow, James.
This movie was it came out on September 10th, and it dropped on HBO Max, and they have the partnership between Warner Brothers where every new release is on the app for a month. So it just left 6 days ago, but I randomly decided to watch it one night, not even remembering that Wes had brought it up on the show as a news item in the trailer release. And I think it is. It's one of the most annoying films. We've kind of moved away from plot summary on this show, so we may just have to drop a spoiler warning immediately after initial impressions.
There's no way to talk about this movie truly without spoiling the movie.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to do that. We're letting you know now. But Wes, I'm curious what your initial impressions were, non-spoiler, just like right after the movie ended or going into it, both.
Reader, I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit after about 40 minutes of this movie. The person I was watching it with, we were like, let's give it another 10 minutes and then we're done. Because,
right.
I'll be honest, like the first hour of this movie is super boring. It's super boring. It's like an episode of Law and Order that goes on for 40 years. And then the movie metastasizes into something completely bonkers, and it becomes the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm so glad we don't do real ratings for this part of the show, because I actually don't know what I could have rated it without a meme. Going in, I was expecting just a weird ghost movie from James Wan, which he does pretty well.
Yeah.
Danny is the real James Wan fan here, but I'm a fan of Saw, and I like the Conjuring movies enough. But it wasn't that.
Not at all.
There's a lot of problems with this, but I had such a fun time watching the madness that is the last 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah. Well, so I guess let's crack the egg. So the basic premise of this movie involves this woman, Madeline, played by Annabelle Wallis. Madison, who is basically like she's living, with a deadbeat husband. There's an orgy of evidence that this guy is a scumbag. He doesn't have a job. He's on like disability or something. And
he's played by the bad guy in every 2010s high school movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's watching, the football game, and she won't get out of the way or whatever it is. And then he's like upset that she's, I don't even remember what he gets upset at her about results in him striking her and hitting her head against the wall. But this guy gets murdered. Her husband, she wakes up later and finds his dead body in her house. There's no signs of forced entry. So of course the intrigue is like, how did this happen? over the course of the movie, she keeps witnessing these murders without being there. She's into this paralysis where the world shifts around her and she's suddenly in someone else's apartment as they're getting murdered and she doesn't know why it's happening. Come to find out later in the movie, it's revealed that Madison has...
How are we even going to explain this without laughing? Someone wrote this screenplay and someone said, this is the plot of Harry Potter, A Sorcerer's Stone.
Well, true to form, in my Letterboxd review, I said this because what comes to pass is that Madison has a twin, but not
Gabriel.
like a regular twin. This twin is a teratoma, a tumor. The movie says basically a tumor growing on her back, a parasitic twin, and his face is on the back of her head, and they share the same spine, the same brain, and some of the same motor function. But when Gabriel takes over, Madison is unaware.
She's catatonic. Yeah.
Yes, he's using her body, and she's kind of trapped inside of her mind. Now, I understand that this may sound interesting to some people, but I was profoundly irritated because at this point in the movie, like there was a point I remember thinking, okay, obviously they're drawing some kind of connection between her and the killer, and I remember seeing like the killer at some points, and it looked like it wasn't a face, so I was like, oh, okay, like she's the killer, like I know she's the killer now. But why is she always moving backwards? Like, what does that have to do with? Is it just because of the injury? Like
No, it's because she's reversed.
No, and now I know it's because Gabriel, when he's in control, his face becomes the front of the body,
yes,
and her body, her face becomes the back of the head. So now this thing is just walking backwards, and somehow,
guys, you can't see Justin right now, but just mimed
the way that this thing moves. Somehow James Wan shot this and didn't think it looked stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I mean, we can just kind of get into it now because there's specific things in this movie that irritate me. I'm not necessarily. I guess it's similar to the complaint I had about Us, in a different way.
Wow.
I know this. I was not the biggest fan of Us. What the main reason I didn't like it is because I felt like Jordan Peele, by trying to explain the tethered, painted himself into a corner where like actually they made less sense. And I think the thing with this movie is that in trying to root its horror in like an actual medical condition, even though nothing about it is aligned with that condition, it just makes me feel like, why didn't you just make this like a ghost story? I mean, yes, it's unique, in one way, even though we have seen like evil twin stuff before, or like it's basically like a dissociative identity. It's like Split.
Basket case. It's like Split, like Basket case.
Yeah, exactly. But it's got a body horror angle to it.
Because it's ripping out of the back of her skull, which
yes,
is pretty gnarly.
And it is. I mean, there's definitely. I think it looks like when she's in the jail cell, and we'll get to this, but when she starts opening her skull, some of that looked maybe practical. I think like. Yeah, I think a fair amount of that might have been practical and then like maybe animated with CG, but that would just be my guess. But yeah, I feel like early in the movie opens, like the cold open is you're just in this very Hogwarts looking asylum, and this doctor is giving she's giving like she's basically talking about like what do you call it, like an entry about this patient, and this one line is how they justify what Gabriel, who is essentially a human being, is able to do for the rest of the movie, where she's like, he's growing stronger, Sui won't be able to contain him, which apparently translates to like jumping like 20 feet in the air and like flipping.
But also does it make any sense? So we are to believe that Gabriel woke up because he got they took Gabriel out of her dome.
Yeah. So what they did was, because he used to be like he had arms and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they removed most of it so that it was only his face, and then they sewed him up. Yeah.
But so much of her, they shared a brain, so he's still in the brain.
Right.
So when they hit the back of the head, Gabriel woke up.
Right.
It was that easy. She's never hit her head in 20 years. She's never hit her. I used to get concussions all the time as a kid.
Yeah, come on, dude. You fall off the monkey bars. Gabriel's coming to play. Like
I got hit by a swing set in the face once, just pushing a swing. So Gabriel would have been fucking people up on the playground. I'm just saying.
It would have been wreaking havoc. And yeah, like they say that like almost 30 years pass between the opening of this movie and where like the actual story takes place. And it does lead you to believe that also if she's been living with this abusive husband for this long, he's never hit her in the head or in the face really hard. Yeah. It's like, so that in itself is definitely kind of, whatever, but you suspend your disbelief, I guess. Yeah. And then like the thing that's just kind of also insane is when Gabriel takes over, he's like Wolverine. Like,
yes.
He again, Madison is a human woman, but he can like move super fast, and like he's got all this crazy like close quarters combat training out of nowhere. Really he has like bullet time reaction. Like
he does.
It's just, there's this insane action sequence toward the end where Madison is, first of all, she's arrested. I forget exactly how she winds up in the prison cell, in the jail cell.
She's arrested for killing somebody, probably, I think.
Right, like under the suspicion, and then she's getting just heckled by like these
prison
women.
Ladies.
Yeah, by prison women, like extras from Orange is the New Black, and eventually she just like gets pissed off. I guess like Gabriel kind of gets triggered, and then this is where she starts pulling her skull open, and then Gabriel's face pokes out and everyone's freaking out, and then she just massacres all these people, and then she gets out into the prison. Also, she's wearing this like, when Gabriel takes over, he puts on this like,
he has a costume. He has a little costume he puts on.
He does. It's like a Sherlock Holmes like Jack the Ripper outfit.
Listen, incredible stunt work for whoever's playing Gabriel.
For sure.
Because I have to believe it's practical that the walking backwards. They have to choreograph the stunt actor walking backwards.
I think what it looks like is it's a contortionist who is maybe wearing like a convincing enough mask of Madison's face on the back of their head, while they have the Gabriel mask on the front, or
it's a helmet, or it's some kind of
a helmet.
mask.
It would have to be a helmet because their body is still facing forward. But I guess my thing is like, I don't know, would it have been? It's just so stupid when he's moving backwards like that. It's like, would it have been that weird to just have him take over, to do the Harry Potter thing where he's taking over, but like Madison's face is still.
Justin, look. This movie is dumb. However, if it had gone with the safer option of just making Gabriel either a demon or a ghost, or something that is puppeting Madison's regular body, it would not have been as glorious as a full human man pushing his face out of the back of her skull and killing people. It doesn't make any sense, and it's wonderful. And I mean, this movie is entirely too stupid to be dealing with some of the themes it's trying to deal with, which is like abortion and women's right over her body, which is what it seems to really want to be talking about, which is worthy stuff to talk about in
autonomy and all that.
Autonomy. This movie is too dumb to do that. You know, we've talked about this in Spiral. Some horror movies are too dumb for that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this one is one of them. And I think it falters when you begin to think about thematically what it's trying to wrestle with, because you're like, guys, this is a dumb body puppeting movie.
Yeah, and also like it's just, I don't know, like Danny said to us, he feels like James Wan is best when he doesn't write his movies. Like Lee Whannell wrote Saw. Yes. And sometimes there are directors who are like that, right? Like
Conjuring.
We've said that. Yeah, we've said that about George Lucas. A lot of people have said that he's great conceptually, and he's even a pretty good director. But like, if you let him write, you get stuff like you get in here. The dialogue is, and I don't know if it like maybe it could have been helped by some more recognizable, not even recognizable, but just better actors. I mean, there's really no one in this movie. You have the cop's partner who feels like she should be Wanda Sykes, but she's not.
She should have been, right? She should have been Wanda Sykes.
But she isn't. You have, speaking of Law and Order, that guy playing the main cop looks just like that one dude from SVU, the kind of like ethnically ambiguous
Yes.
cop. And so it's just like there's no one here. And then you're listening to, especially Annabelle Wallace, God love her, but she is a stone. It's like her performance is so monotone that, and it doesn't seem like it's a choice. It just seems like she is not invested. I mean, a lot of this movie really feels like if I saw this on Lifetime, I would not be surprised. But it was on HBO.
The weirdest thing about the film is the subplot. So the emotional core of the movie, we should say, is it's a sibling movie. So it's Gabriel at the back of her head, but then she has an adopted sister who's been helping her through this process. And the adopted sister is essentially the heart of the movie. She's who takes her back to at the end of the movie. But then there's this subplot of the cop who is investigating, trying to smash the sister, and it's how the script can allow you to believe that this cop would not just be like, this is dumb, I'm not going to follow these clues anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah, you're right in that they have to give him a reason to stay invested with this case.
He's like, I think this blonde sister thing is going to work out. So it's going to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm gonna chase some leads. I'm gonna do some leads for sure. Detective Keko Shaw, and listen, he doesn't actually look like the dude from SVU, but he's filling that same type of role where he's just like the pretty boy. This guy's 41 years old.
Good for him.
Good. Yeah.
Good for him.
I guess to say some nice things about it. You'll never catch me accusing James Wan of not knowing how to craft visuals. The dude is a master of horror visuals.
He's so good at it.
There's that shot where the deadbeat husband has his neck cracked, and the killer, who we don't know is Gabriel / Madison at this point, pokes their head up slowly from behind the corpse on the couch, and it's just like the whole frame is like black and blue and very shadowy. That's cool. The red there's that sleep paralysis type of scene where it's the kill of that old man in the hotel room. That looks really cool. And the sequence where she's running through her house. Why did I just think of the Megan Thee Stallion line? Running through your nigga's house like a Tomb Raider. She's running through
that should have been playing over.
She's running through her house like a Tomb Raider, and it's just a top-down view of her moving throughout the house, and you feel like you're looking at like a clue board. That's a really cool sequence.
I think James Wan is a really talented director. Like I think he's really good. I actually read a review. I remember when Aquaman came out, a movie I don't like, but I think is fun enough. Like it's fun, I guess. Patrick Wilson's great in that movie. Is what I'll say. Well, I remember when Aquaman came out, someone wrote a review that's essentially was James Wan is a great director with terrible taste. Like he is a great visual storyteller, but his taste in stories is suspect.
Yeah. I mean, even in Aquaman, which is obviously largely a CG production, but there are some compositions in that are kind of breathtaking, like the dive into the ocean when they're surrounded by the piranha people.
I still think about that moment where he's coming in on that giant sea monster and he puts the trident over his eyes. Yeah. And the sound waves go out through the water. I mean, I think Aquaman, despite having a script that's like maybe not the best, has some of the most, like, you can tell James Wan made Aquaman in a way that you can't tell that, like, maybe, as we said before, Scott Derrickson made Doctor Strange. Like, yeah,
that's fair. Or that Patty Jenkins made Wonder Woman, but maybe that's just because I don't have any other work of hers to compare it to.
Yes.
So that could be. What did she do?
She did that movie with Charlize Theron where she won the Oscar. Monster. Oh, yeah.
Very different.
Patty, you know what's so funny, Justin? This is gonna move past a Malignant conversation, but we have 10 minutes before. we're starting to see these like late 30s, early 40s directors who started out in these indie places, like in horror, like James Wan and Derrickson, and in like more prestige movies like Patty Jenkins, and we're seeing them go through the superhero machine and using it to raise their profile. Like none of these people are really staying in it. Like maybe Patty Jenkins, but she might be not be doing Wonder Woman 3. I think James Wan, after Aquaman's done, he'll be done. Certainly Scott Derrickson seems to be done, and their next project after those superhero things are like high profile projects, just on the virtue that they did Aquaman.
Because you can put from the director of Doctor Strange in the trailer.
Exactly.
I think that's definitely part of it. I also wonder how much Marvel, and we've talked about this as well, if that relationship is as beneficial for the tentpole studios, where you hire a director who, I mean, it's on the one, in a cynical sense, you hire these directors who haven't cut their teeth yet, so that you can kind of push them around a bit. You can tell Scott Derrickson what to put in his movie. You can't tell Sam Raimi necessarily. Yeah. So but I guess that's part of it. And also maybe there's a level of prestige that they hope to attain by giving Nia DaCosta Captain Marvel 2, or you know what I mean? Which I'm nervous about.
I'm very nervous about giving
that's a lot for her to have to do for her second feature, essentially.
For her third feature. So she did Little Woods, which apparently is amazing. Okay. She did Candyman, which is Candyman, and then now she's going to do the Marvels,
Yeah. And it is a bit nerve-wracking. No, but that point is well taken. Obviously Eternals comes out soon. And
only
that's
her
got
fourth movie. That's only her fourth movie.
That's another pattern too. And I guess maybe it's just like it could be a finance thing too. Like it's difficult to lock down directors who are more established to do these movies because they cost more. Maybe
and they have a style that it's why I think DC, for all its problems, and they have a lot of problems, is nailing something that Marvel can't get. Maybe because Marvel doesn't want to do it, but like DC movies, pretty much. I mean, there's obviously studio meddling with DC movies. We there's a long history of that, but those movies look like the directors. Like they seem to be hiring directors that have a style,
for better and worse. All those Snyder movies are Snyder.
Those are Snyder movies, and the Matt Reeves Batman movie looks like the grungy, epic Planet of the Apes movies. You know what I mean? Like. So it looks like, and DC also likes to hire horror directors to do their superhero movies, which is
Matt Reeves loves some face paint. There's a lot of like the apes are painting their faces in those in those apes movies, and you got these the Joker thugs or whoever they are with the clown paint on their faces.
Pattinson with his eyeliner.
Yeah, some war paint. He really likes that. I mean, there's Malignant is a movie that would. I mean, not that we can't still do it, but would have been great for a commentary. Like whenever we start to just sit down, crack a bunch of beers, and just like watch that movie. To talk about it after the fact is like, it's pretty thin. But I think you raise an interesting point about how it tries to sort of maybe be feminist. And obviously we'll talk more about that with Jennifer's Body. I am ready to rate it.
Yeah, Let's do it.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 2 Voldemort style heads out of 5.
This is really the Voldemort style head's the only one you can really do. I'll give it.
By the way, I'll just say the Harry Potter reveal was much better. Just because that dude slowly unwrapping his turban and then Voldemort pushing his face out of his head. Yeah, much better.
I'll give it 8.5.
Wow,
backwards walking out of 8.5. The movie is dumb, all right, but the movie is it's wonderful. I gave it a 5-star review on Letterboxd. And I look at that review every once in a while, and I'm like, "Yep,
I'm right."
I stand by it because the genius of the movie is that you're watching it, and you're like, "What is everybody talking about?" And then it happens.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, this is what they were talking about."
Yeah. I mean, Good for you, man. I think that opinion might come back to haunt you when
it
you
will.
start making your own films. People will be like, "How can we trust this man? He rated
They're like,
Malignant
he rated Malignant 5 out of 5 stars.
on Letterboxd of all places." But yeah, I think that does it for our conversation on Malignant. We'll take our second break, and then Wes will lead us through his favorite movie of all time, Jennifer's Body.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about Jennifer's Body.
Wow.
All
Yeah,
right?
we are.
So scary.
In detail. In explicit detail.
In detail. Jennifer's Body is a 2009 film directed by Karyn Kusama, written by Diablo Cody, who is Dan's favorite writer. It stars Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried, in glasses, which is what they do to make us believe that she's not as beautiful
That she's
as
not-
she is.
Yeah.
Sure. Johnny Simmons of Scott Pilgrim fame, J.K. Simmons of Everything fame.
Love that. Chris
Amy
Pratt.
Sedaris. Chris Pratt playing
Can we
the
talk
Republican
about it?
he is, playing the Republican he is, and Adam Brody.
Can we talk? I was gonna wait until we got into the conversation, but like, I texted Zach. I said there are 2 actor appearances in this movie that are going to floor you, and he had already seen it by this point. But Chris Pratt, a pre-fame Chris Pratt, showing up in this movie, it gave me a heart attack. I was watching this. I mean, my teacher isn't gonna listen to this. I was watching this in the back of my aesthetics of filmmaking class.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, that's how you do it.
Wow.
and he was talking about f-stops or something, I don't know, and
Nice,
I was watching Jennifer's Body, and when Chris Pratt showed up, I had to suppress a vocal reaction because I was in the back like,
Eat it.
what? Yeah. And then later J.K. Simmons is playing the science teacher /
In an
principal of
SNL
this
skit.
school.
Yeah.
Why does he have a hook?
Justin, it was rough going after Spider-Man 3, bro. Like,
I guess so, man.
in between Spider-Man 3 and Whiplash, it was a tough couple years.
Yeah. Mind you, though, he was on The Closer. I think during this period,
Oh.
which is a show that I watched religiously with my mother.
Nice.
And he was the police.
That's a TNT
captain.
show, right?
Yeah,
Such
yeah,
a
man.
TNT.
TNT had a chokehold.
They had a lot.
But yes, go ahead, Wes. I'm sorry.
But no, it's okay. Before we get to the our thoughts on it, let's quickly just go through the customary Letterboxd reviews. Letterboxd
Love it.
is like the patron movie of Letterboxd is Jennifer's Body.
Yeah,
There's not a
it's
person
nice.
on Letterboxd that hates Jennifer's Body, so I had to look. I looked, and the only 2-star review that I could find that wasn't dripping with misogyny was from Sarah, and it's a 2-star review, and it says, "This was my ex-girlfriend's favorite movie." This
Hey,
is a tough one.
that's there's a lot in
Sarah,
there. I think.
Sarah, reach out to the show. We'd love to.
Write us a letter. We'll write you one back.
yeah.
Another one is a 5-star review from Anika that says Jennifer's Body is greater than The Godfather.
I agree.
And my personal favorite is a 4.5-star review from Brat that says this is Twilight for bi girls. That one is provided by Justin Winley himself. Guys, what did you think of Jennifer's Body?
Zach, you go first.
I think I enjoyed it overall. I mean, there were some. I think this movie knew what it was doing. It knew what it wasn't, and it knew what it wanted to be. Like, just like the dumb. Like, I think I realized when the bar fire massacre occurred, and like Amanda Seyfried was like pretty chill about it, and like I know Megan Fox was like she just is stunned and stuff, and but like the guys in the band, I don't want to just like dive right into spoilers, but the guys in the band were just like there, like just outside already when this happened. Like they were fine, and I was like, okay, I understand, this movie is just not gonna super take itself seriously. So I thought it was fun. There were still some moments that like scared me, like just the first time you see Megan Fox in like as like after her like change, I was like, oh shit, that was actually pretty creepy. That just that shot of her just like lingering there.
Oh yeah, when she first sees Amanda Seyfried and smiles.
Exactly.
in her teeth.
I was like, oh freak. But
Oh shoot.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, but that being said, they like these actors, Amanda Seyfried and Seyfried.
I think so. I think it's
I'm sorry.
Hey,
Amanda
either one.
Seyfried and Megan Fox like both kind of like go off with their acting. Like they still
Yeah.
go really hard. Like
it goes so hard.
full
bring
crying,
it.
like sobbing, like they forget the kind of movie they're in. So I think I overall enjoyed it. I think it was fun, and it wasn't really, trying to be anything more than like a fun, quirky film.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is a movie that I know. No.
Begin.
Took a breath.
Begin.
He's like, this is a film.
Get ready for my sermon, my treatise. No, I was going to say that this is a movie that I was not going to be able to watch as a kid. I saw the trailers for it, but it was just like one of those movies that I knew my parents were never going to bring home. So, and because I didn't have I almost said because I didn't have friends. I didn't have like the one friend who always was like trying to make you watch something that you shouldn't watch, and I didn't yet have the resources to pirate stuff. Right. So I just heard it was like a folktale. Yeah. It really was, and like it was like something that you heard about on the school bus.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those school bus movies.
Particularly, I think what I realized when watching it is the scene where Jennifer and Needy are in her bedroom. I realized that I had heard about that scene.
I had as well.
I might have even seen it somehow.
Somehow,
Justin. Huh?
Might have found it on just peeking over someone's shoulder on the bus.
Yeah, I bet.
When they're watching, those old portable DVD players. Stop. Do y'all remember? I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember
Video Nows?
Video Now?
Yeah, like you would carry a. Yeah, I think
Video
there might have been a time I was like on a bus going somewhere and somebody was watching Jennifer's body.
So you were watching.
Cool
you want me
story,
to believe
yeah.
that you were watching Jennifer's body over someone's shoulder,
and you happen to catch that scene, huh?
I also remembered. To be fair, I also remembered the climax in the pool. So there was some flash visuals coming back. Yeah. Point just being, you guys are perfect.
Move past it.
No, but I had a good time with this movie. It's funny, we were ragging on Diablo Cody in one of our early episodes. Before, well, when those Powerpuff Girls screenshots came out, you were part of we in that conversation. But I think what's evident is that this movie came out in 2009. And this script is completely 2009. 100%. Like this is such an early 2000s. I think actually Scott Pilgrim is after this, right?
I think it's 2 years later.
Yeah. Okay. So it still has that like very stylized, sort of frenetic. Like it's almost like if Aaron Sorkin was a woman. Yeah. This is kind of how he would write, but it's less like, I guess, neurotic monologues and more like just zingers, like constant one-liners. Which I mean, whatever. Like Zack said, I think that this is I feel like it was always supposed to be kind of like a B movie.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that it was marketed as like a sex fest for men, as opposed to being a movie about friendship, which is what ultimately it actually is about. That's part of what contributed to its failure. But let me just get this out of the way. I think that Megan Fox is great in this.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not saying that she's the next Meryl Streep, but I also think that she's more than just a pretty face. And I think that this movie, demonstrates that she has a lot of different performance modes in this.
Yes.
Based on what her character has to do. And I think she kind of hits all of them really well. So, I liked it, but I do think once we get into the plot that there's kind of an issue about how it's structured. Yeah. That would make me like it more. But Wes, take us away.
I don't know, guys. I have a similar feeling or kind of like origin point with this movie to Justin. I remember not being able to watch it, or if I had watched it, it was in pieces on like DirecTV. Like which was what they used to do, is just play movies.
Sure. Piece. So that's more feasible than the DVD story.
Well, I would have just listen. Justin,
Wes is watching it.
If you want to say that you looked up Megan Fox scene on a website, it's fine. Hey,
here we go.
I watched it.
Justin, save yourself.
I watched it. I probably watched it in pieces on DirecTV. I'd never seen the full thing, but I do vaguely remember like the ending and stuff like that. Which is how you used to catch movies before you streaming.
And I remember during the quarantine, a bunch of my friends from film school, mostly women in my film school who liked horror movies, were like, Jennifer's Body is the business. Like, it's a good movie. And I remember being like, Jennifer's Body? Like, what are you talking about? But I remembered I'd seen some episodes of New Girl with Megan Fox, and she's really funny on those.
Oh my
I was like, all right.
God, she's a new girl.
She is a new girl,
That's
and she's
right.
very funny. And I remember watching it during the quarantine and really loving it. Like I it's absolutely a B movie, but it does the horror thing of being a stupid movie about demon possession, about being a succubus is really what she is.
Yeah.
And it uses it to tell a story about like friendship and like being like questioning your sexual identity and you know, like, I don't know. It's just there's something about the fact that Megan Fox's character is jealous of her friend.
Yes.
Is jealous of her friend, jealous that her friend may or may not be interested in her romantically, or is, who knows? And is using killing boys to get closer to her. Like, she sees boys that her friend may be interested in and is like, I'm gonna take this one out. And I think I was watching it this morning and I was like, it's actually really touching that she can't just tell her friend she's interested. So
No,
she has
just
to
to
kill.
eat. She has to eat the other.
So that there are no other options. Yeah.
It's also, I mean, it's also, I don't know. It's also like a teen movie, like you guys said, that has a lot of stupid dialogue. But I think unlike some other teen movies that have bad dialogue, I think this one is actually leaning into the cheese.
Yeah.
Of it.
Absolutely.
You know. Rob Zombie's Halloween, which we'll talk about. Yeah, it's definitely purposeful. Rob Zombie's Halloween, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks, has similarly bad dialogue and comes out like a year before. And I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just bad. So I
he just needed another pass over that script.
You know, but no, there's a lot to say about Jennifer's Body. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about it. Megan Fox just should have had. I mean, she's a young woman. She can still have a career, but she really got shortchanged by Michael Bay, unfortunately. I feel like she's a really good comedic actress.
Yeah.
And
she has her moments in those Transformers movies.
Yeah, she
of
does.
comedy. From every indication that I have heard and read, he seems like a director who like wants you to be funny the way that he thinks is funny.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
His brand of comedy.
Exactly. And sometimes, you know, that like I heard a rumor that's why TJ Miller, is that his name?
Yeah.
The dude from Deadpool. I heard a rumor that's why he dies so early in that fourth Transformers movie is because he was improvising all the time. Yeah, remember? He gets turned into a statue. He gets scorched, like flash boiled.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's like, he works with Mark Wahlberg in that movie. What Age of Extinction, right? He works with him in his barn, and then they get in the car. It's a chase scene. And then he gets blown up and turned into, like, you know how Doctor Doom looks at the end of Fantastic Four?
No, I hate it. I don't want.
But apparently it's because he was like improvising all the time on set, and Michael Bay didn't think any of it was funny.
Exactly like Michael Bay.
Wow.
So he changed the script to kill him.
I feel like, I mean, we're gonna have to, maybe when the Beast Wars Transformers movie comes out, we'll finally talk about Transformers. I feel like Megan Fox has a great moment in the first movie. She has a couple great moments in the first movie, but in the first movie where she's hooks up Bumblebee to the back of the truck and is like, you shoot, I drive.
Yeah.
She's doing, I just remember like that being burned into my brain, not because she's beautiful, even though she is beautiful, but because it's like, you can tell when someone is acting in a movie and you're just one step removed from believing them. And I didn't believe, and I didn't have that with her in that moment. She does feel like she's pretty sunk into that character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when she's about to get arrested and she's telling Shia LaBeouf, like, you don't know what it's like. You know, my dad is in jail, you know?
Yeah.
So I think she's pretty good.
And not for nothing, like, granted, she is obviously, the camera is all over her in that movie, and the difference is that it's a male filming her as opposed to a woman.
Right.
Her character does have a bit of like depth to her. I mean, you know, she works on cars, like, obviously that is it's a convenience for the movie.
Yes,
but
the way that she works on the cars.
Yeah, yes, but it gives her something to do. Like, and strangely enough, Wes, that was the first moment I was thinking about too when we started talking about Transformers, was like her getting into the car with Bumblebee in the back and just driving around as he shoots. It's a very active performance. But yeah, I think in this, like I said, I feel like she gets to do. It's not just about her being like sexy. She's doing a lot of different stuff. Obviously, when we first meet her, she is a little bit, vapid. Let's talk a bit about the framing of this movie, the narrative framing device, which is that it's kind of like a noir. Yeah, and it's a flashback, but you're with
Sandy.
actually Needy, and she is narrating the movie. I'm not someone who hates narration. I don't think you need it in this movie.
No.
I feel like every
Brick. It reminded me a lot of
yeah,
Brick.
but I feel like every time she speaks, she's just delivering plot information. I feel like narration is usually helpful when it's like you're learning something about the character more than they are just telling you about like the plot. And also because of the way it started, I was certain that this was going to be like wait for when we bring this one on, but a Talented Mr. Ripley situation where
Please. You just triggered something so like, oh my god,
where she remembers her relationship with Jennifer differently than what it actually was. I thought it was going to be a thing where because they established her as being like, oh, she's obsessive, she has like whatever. I thought like with the cheerleading scene, she's waving at Jen and it's just like in her fantasy where actually Jen doesn't. I thought that's what the movie was about, and then I realized, oh, they're actually friends.
They're real friends.
So
they're very close friends,
right? And I guess because they have been friends since they were kids. Otherwise, I don't think these two people, especially not in the movie that came out in 2009, these two people would not be friends.
It's so weird that they really try to pretend like Amanda Seyfried doesn't look like the way she looks. Like,
well, also
it's the thing that is like, I know they do it with men all the time, and they also do it with women. They just did it with Cheetah in Wonder Woman. Yeah, they give her some circular Harry Potter glasses,
and like they like and they frizz up her hair. Yeah.
But then she takes off her glasses later in the movie when she's about to have sex with her boyfriend, and you're like, "Oh, that's a movie star." What are you talking about? You're like, I don't understand what. Like, it does such a good job of casting for the other students that are not Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried, like TV stars who kind of look like regular people. Yeah. And then like they pull in the Flash from Smallville to play the goth guy. And you're like, oh, these look like regular kids. And then the two main characters, you're like, oh, these are
movie stars.
These are movie stars.
Yeah, yeah. But they pretend like one of them isn't. Like when the band is like, oh, what about that girl? And like the guitarist is like, wait, that one? And he's pointing at Amanda Seyfried. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have that reaction to her topic.
You wouldn't like be throwing up into a paper bag on the side of the stage. No. P.U. Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of where my head was at when it started, but. Obviously when we meet Jennifer Check, she does have this obsessive relationship with Needy, which is ironic that like Needy is Amanda Seyfried's nickname when it feels like it's Jennifer is the one who's actually more clingy, because she has such a desire to control how Needy looks. Yeah, she feels threatened by her. Right. Yeah, she says like, oh, I can't show my cleavage because boobs are Jennifer's thing. Yeah. And so that's like a really interesting dynamic. And then obviously you have Needy kind of being like, I guess she wants to be sort of, Amanda Seyfried's playing her as like this overcautious kind of character. But it's hard to tell how much of Jennifer's influence she wants or doesn't, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. But that was one of the things I was wondering about is like, does she wish she was more like Jennifer, or is it in that gray area where like she just doesn't know whether or not she's attracted to Jennifer? Like she's still figuring that out.
I feel like because I felt like she was actually pretty like secure in that relationship. Like I don't know. I didn't feel like, I mean, I know her what's his name? Chip. Their boyfriend. I felt like he was like concerned about it, but I was like, I don't know. I think that friendship feels okay to me. Oh wait, the moment that I really love though is when it's just like such a random thing when Megan Fox goes to pick her up to go to the bar, and they like get into like a gentle shoving match, and then Megan Fox just shoves her against the door. And it's just like the sound of it. She's like, and then it's just like
she's like, let's go.
It's just not acknowledged. I love that. That was like my favorite part.
I really love that moment where, and you talked about it earlier, Zach, where she comes after being turned into a succubus. Yeah. She comes to Needy's house, and like isn't talking, and then eats the
Yes.
chicken, and then vomits like
Oh
black
my-
bile
yes.
onto the floor.
A dinosaur roar.
I don't know. I feel like I Twitter always does these things, film Twitter, where they say name your top 4 horror performances or top 4 this performances, and I put Megan Fox up there for horror performances because I think the performance in this is like she has to do so much. Like she has to kind of be the mean girl. She has to also be able to do the one-liners pretty dryly, and then she also has to be really scary. And she does the 3 of them really well. Sometimes in the same scene, like there's the great scene where they're like, it's been a month since the guy was eaten, and they pan over to her, and she's like, boring.
Yeah.
But she like looks
Horrifying.
Like, she looks like she hasn't eaten in 8 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was gonna say that's. I keep getting sidetracked, but that's one of the aspects of her performance that's really cool. Is like the difference between her when she's satisfied, she's full, and when she's sort of like not, and she's pallid, and the makeup work is really good there too. I mean, they obviously talk about this, like she still looks like Megan Fox
for her. Like,
yeah, but
she looks like Megan Fox probably at like 6 in the morning. Like
yeah, exactly. Just a little bit tired, but I think maybe now is a good time to talk about one of the issues I have with the plot construction of the movie. So what you were saying, Wes, earlier about like how the kills in this movie are directly related to Needy, right? And like Jennifer's relationship with Needy. That does kind of reframe things for me in a way that makes me appreciate it more. But I just found myself wondering, why is the movie not about her seeking out this indie band? Like, it kind of feels weird that the movie ignores them for so long and then has to shove them in as like credit sequence
tied up,
and it's also not Jennifer doing it, it's her friend.
She didn't care. She just like didn't worry about it. Like they're everywhere. Their song is playing all across this town, and Jennifer is unbothered by hearing the song that was like the last thing she heard before she was turned into a succubus.
Yeah, and then the other thing, that's weird is if the ritual didn't work, how are they achieving all this success? Right, because
it did though, right? Because it was like,
well, she's not a virgin, so that was part of.
It said it could still work.
It
said it like it said you still could achieve like the purpose of the ritual, but now there's a demon. Like that's it's just oh shit. There's a side effect,
something else to deal with. Yeah. Okay. Then in that case,
that's definitely a fair concern, though, Justin. I think I remember the first time I watched it, I was wondering if the Adam Brody shoe was going to drop at some point. I kind of like the idea that the joke is that they're like virtue signaling, that the band becomes famous off of this tragedy that happens in the town, because that's something that has happened in the last 6 months, you know? But I do understand what you're saying. I guess the only thing I could think of is that the movie had to pick. Like, it had to pick whether it was going to be a high school comedy or it was going to be a rape revenge film, which it kind of is already. But
that's fair. I mean, also because it could have been both, but the people who assault her are not from the school. In that way, it's very. The inclusion of the indie band as a plot device at all seems so like strange, because if you're going to contain it to the high school, then why?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like maybe there was something going on with bands at the time where we were like, you know, Diablo Cody just decided to make fun of them by writing this script.
Yeah.
I mean, he does intentionally say like, there's so many of us and we all look pretty and we sing well, but like, you know, sometimes we need a little bit of help from Satan to get by. So, I mean, and jokes about like the Illuminati and the current industry notwithstanding, I think that, you know, while it's funny, I just found myself wondering, is this going to come back in any meaningful way?
Forgive me for thinking that the bottomless hell pit that they talk about in the beginning of the movie was going to
Yes.
have a bigger part in like
Yes.
how she like I was like, oh, this is she falls down this hole and like
I thought about
emerges
it too.
as a demon, and it's
I
like
thought about it too.
yeah, no, he just throws it down the toilet. He just throws the knife down the toilet, and then it like, oh no, it still actually does go somewhere. So it's like
Yeah.
even that cool thing that you established isn't even real. Like
That whirlpool, yeah.
This is absolutely correct. These are fair scriptural concerns.
poking holes in it, Wes.
No, I listen. This is in cinema sins. You can acknowledge a movie's plot holes and still enjoy the movie. I think those are all very valid concerns. The way I thought about it the second time I watched it was these are just weird goings on in the town. Like the fact that there just happens to be a wormhole that goes to hell. Like that's just it's just a thing in the town.
Is Devil's Kettle an actual place?
Probably not. Probably.
No,
Probably
right?
not.
Okay.
It looks like it's upstate.
That's a
New
bit
York.
on the nose.
It looks
Yeah.
like upstate, but is
It's
it?
supposed to be in. Okay, well, actually, yes, this is a real place. It's it's
sorry
Devil's-
to the denizens of Devil's Kettle.
Sorry to the people of Minnesota. So what it is it's located inside of a state park, and the park is best known for the Devil's Kettle, an unusual waterfall and rock formation in which half of the Brule River disappears into a pothole.
Bet.
Oh hell no! Oh no! I can't go near it. I'm so scared of the idea of that.
Do you think that portal leads to hell, or do you think you're super dead?
You're super dead, Wes.
I mean,
you're just
either
going
way,
into an abyss.
You're not going to land in, like, I don't know,
You're not
Megan
going to be
Fox's
okay.
bedroom.
Listen,
No.
if the Patreons reach a certain level, of
Wes will
support-
jump in the pool.
I didn't say Wes. Dan, who's not here to defend himself, will jump down. The
Dan
portal.
would, yeah.
That's
Dan would be like, yeah, dude, I'll do it.
Take a camera down there.
I wanted to quickly talk about Karyn Kusama's directing in this.
Sure.
I haven't seen any of her other films, but apparently she's going to be doing a reboot of Dracula for Blumhouse Universal.
Okay.
Which seems
Dang.
like along her wavelength.
Mhm.
I think the directing in this is really good, and I think Dan and I were talking about it in the chat. The way it's filmed is that early to late 2000s style, where it was still kind of film-y. So like the darks look kind of layered, and the camera it doesn't look as flat as it would necessarily in more modern horror films. But also the way that she uses color in the frame is really cool. There's that great shot that we use in all the trailers where everybody is in black. And they're walking past the frame, and then you see Megan Fox right in the background, and she walks into focus, and she's wearing like a hot pink
Yeah. I love
sweatsuit. So I think I think all over the directing. I mean, even when Amanda Seyfried kills Jennifer, and we see over the bed is really cool. I think there's a lot of really stylish directing in this.
I think the cinematography is pretty great. Directed by photography directed by M. David Mullen, who I don't really know him from anything else, but there's that really interesting shot where it's right after she kills the football dude. It's just that like helicopter shot of her swimming in the lake.
Yeah.
And
that was
I was
sick.
like, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? It almost feels out of place in this movie that's supposed to be kind of like a cutesy like B movie. That
What was
you have
she
this
doing?
really, I guess, cleaning the blood off,
Cleaning herself off, Zach.
swimming the blood off.
I don't know.
It's also interesting because when there's that early point, and I love that it's a nonverbal moment. When Jennifer arrives at Needy's house and Needy grabs her wrist, she makes this expression like she feels something. Like either I thought it was going to be that she was ice cold, but then later we find out in the woods he's like, "Why are you so hot?" And like apparently she's burning up. And you do see when she comes out of the water, she's like steaming. It's a really cool, like consistent kind of thing, and it's introduced in a nonverbal way that I appreciated.
That was cool.
I wanted to talk just very quickly about how this movie is also a cautionary tale about how many red flags a man will ignore in the quest for coochie. Because at the point that I am in the woods with a girl and forest animals start showing up,
I'm running.
You're already dead though. You're already
just-
dead.
But here's the thing. I want to say that I would get out of there, but I fear, my friends, all of us would fall victim to our particular Jennifer.
Fine.
If
Fine.
Or just this Jennifer. If it was just this Jennifer, I'm super dead. I'll be real. Because it seems like the way the film works is as soon as you agree to doing whatever, like hanging out with her,
You're done.
you're dead
You're
because she
done.
takes you to a secluded area.
Yeah.
And she's a demon.
I want to address the death of Colin because that I think was
Avoidable?
I would say so. Like, first of all, the forest animals, I'm like, something is happening. Like, I assume that I'm being sacrificed. I'm like, this is not, and maybe it's not even her. I'm not like, oh, it's your fault. Like, I would just think a bigger animal is coming to get me.
is here.
but Colin drives through this pitch black neighborhood.
Yep.
There's not a street light to be found. What is this ghost neighborhood? And he
Hello.
looks out the window, sees one candle light, like just in the window, and he's like, all right. And then he gets out.
Before that, he gets a text from her saying, "Oh, turn left. I'm right there." How do you know where
How
I
do
am?
you know? I don't.
I want you guys to know that every guy in that school, when they find out that Jennifer is the one who's been killing people, which I assume what will happen after this, or they think it's Amanda Seyfried, whatever. When they find it out, they're going to create a story where they almost went out with Jennifer and like
chose
turned her
not
down.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, bro, dude, I would have been.
I
I
could
would
have
have been dead.
It would have been me, but I had a football game. I couldn't go.
You're absolutely right. No, go ahead, Zach. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think Colin just consistently just like ignored he goes into a house that is not like finished. Like it's under complete construction. There's sheets hanging and he's like, this is
where
her.
she lives.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes up there and first of all, she just has like a circle of candles and he doesn't think that he's going to be in a blood ritual. He's like,
Yeah.
he thinks that he's just going to have sex in the middle of these candles. I'm like, Colin,
Right.
why would you think like she clearly actually didn't want to go out with you. Like when he was asking her about the movie, she's like,
yeah, about Rocky Horror.
yeah, she's like, I don't like boxing movies. It's like, all right. And then
It's not a boxing
come
movie,
on,
but whatever.
yeah. Colin, I think
you feel bad for. I think what's interesting about this movie is you feel bad for all the guys she kills because she kills like innocent guys, and I don't know if that's supposed to be like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a commentary because I was reading one Letterboxd review that was saying maybe this movie is about trauma and how you can't really solve it by inflicting more trauma. Jennifer has this terrible thing happen to her and she decides to take it out on just anyone. I mean,
she has to eat.
Yeah, she does have to eat. You assume that it's only men, but then of course she has that great line, I go both ways.
Nice.
Which is the thematic linchpin of the
Nice.
whole movie.
Of the whole film. The scene with Colin also is cross-cut with Needy and her boyfriend getting busy for presumably the first time.
I didn't
Is
think
it the
so.
first time?
I didn't
No,
think so.
No, because he said he bought new condoms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's true.
And they
Yeah,
said
it's just
we have sex for 4 minutes a night.
Yeah,
it's just that the way that it's built up to felt like it was supposed to be
man,
like,
they're in high school.
yeah,
Every time is exciting for them.
Every
They're
time.
like, hey.
yeah. There's a really funny, again, another nonverbal moment where like he's doing his thing, and she starts freaking out because she sees Jennifer,
And
and
he thinks it's
she's
him.
like screaming, and he's like, yeah, all right.
And
then
he
asks-
says,
he's like,
what, is it too big?
I mean, stuff like that is great. Like we could sit here and rattle off the funny lines.
Yeah.
We were doing it in the group chat. Like, got a tampon is great.
Oh, what a good like an all-time great delivery. That is the one line that I saw Jennifer's Body for the first time like a year and a half ago. That's the line that I remember where she's like where she gets stabbed, she pulls it out of her body, looks up and goes, you got a tampon, I figured you might be plugging.
I'll say I didn't
wow.
get to watch the unrated cut. I don't know if maybe I would. I think there's more kills and there's more time with the parents is what I hear.
And
I would have
and the opening is different, so
okay.
it doesn't have the stinger of Needy looking through Jennifer's window. It opens with that crawl shot of Needy in the asylum.
Okay.
And the dialogue's a little different.
How about the combat roll that Needy does into Jennifer's room through the window?
Incredible.
Before she kills her.
A soldier.
Of course, the movie is kind of in an interesting way building up and this has to do with the jealousy that Jennifer feels toward Needy, but like her kind of like Chip is the ultimate victim, because when she gets Chip out of the way, then she can have Needy all to herself. And we saw that. And there is that interesting moment in the hallway where by this point Needy's already starting to suspect Jennifer, and Jennifer looks at Chip and she goes like, hey, she starts to flirt with him and she says, hey, over here. And Needy pulls his face so she can kiss him instead, which is when they make the plan to do what they do. But then by this point, Needy has already let it slip that she thinks Colin is cool, which is where you see Jennifer decide, okay, I guess,
like stops her and she's like, wait, you like him?
Yeah, got it. Guess I know what I'm eating tonight.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I also wanted to comment that if I were Chip, I would have survived the movie because I wouldn't have gone into that hellish pool room.
Hello.
Yeah. So where do these men think sex happens?
Yeah. Like, yes, this is
what I'm saying, bro. Listen, there might be a limit, but it's a high one. What we will tolerate for the promise of poon.
No, I'm not going in there, Justin. There's like trees growing out of the water.
Incredible production design, though.
It's
also it's really iconic.
Yeah, no, and the fact that also if I were Needy, I wouldn't have tried to rescue Chip. I just want to put it out there. She sees that he's being eaten in the pool. Jennifer looks at her and gives her a demonic scream. She dives into the water. Either way, I'm not going in that water because there's other things there. But she actually just attacks her, and I'm like, why? Like, why would you do that? You could have
Needy becomes very active in the latter part of this movie, which I think wouldn't. I don't know if it would work if they didn't have that not a cold open, but like where that they didn't have that opening where she's in the asylum and she like kicks that orderly in the face,
go across the room.
So now you're expecting her to like be willing to scrap. But I think her getting Jennifer's powers is kind of dumb, but I mean, whatever. It felt like it was like a sequel setup that like maybe getting the powers itself wasn't dumb, but her like meditating into the
levitating.
Air, what are we doing?
Megan Fox and apparently Diablo Cody and Karyn Kusama have talked about a sequel or a reboot or a TV show. So who knows? I think at this point it's such a cult thing that it could get one.
Easily.
I do remember what I was going to say. This is my last point related to the unrated cut. I would have liked to see at least one scene between Jennifer and her mother prior to
her getting.
I didn't know she had parents.
Yeah.
So first of all, Needy dives into a room, smashing the entire window, and they're both like screaming at each other. Kind of. And only when Jennifer is actually murdered does her mom come in and be like, is everything okay?
Pretty like she quietly murdered too.
Also, Needy, she wasn't gonna kill you.
Yeah,
she's not gonna kill you. Like that's one of the coolest parts of the movie. Is we made a lot of jokes about the kissing scene earlier in the podcast, but like,
hey,
the way that scene is shot is completely different from the way they shoot Jennifer being intimate with anyone else.
Yes,
and it's because
actually romantic.
It's romantic. Yeah. It's because she's not going to kill her. Yeah. It's like why would? It's like I guess because she's the monster, and you have to kill the monster.
Well, and she killed her boyfriend, so
that's water under the bridge. How much does she really care about the boyfriend? She was having sex with the boyfriend, and her face was blank. Her face was like, wow.
She was experiencing Jennifer's murder of Colin.
Which, by the way, can I ask y'all, do y'all think that in that scene she's like afraid, or is she like,
no,
she's
afraid,
enjoying it? Like,
no,
I wasn't sure if the movie was trying to establish a physical connection between them as well.
I think they have a telekinetic link. They have like some kind of link.
But you think that she was experiencing like the lust,
the orgasmic, like the ecstasy is the word I'm
I think that's the way we're supposed to read it. I mean, I think it's a mixture of horror and
is that my Evil Dead T-shirt?
I'm surprised Zach doesn't love this. Not Zach. Dan doesn't love this movie just off of
the Evil Dead
The
line
Evil
alone.
Dead references.
Just that alone.
It is convenient that Dan contracted strep throat right before he could dog on Diablo Cody's script. Maybe it's for the best.
It's like, oh, I got strep. I can't get.
I gotta get out of here. Yeah, but I mean, I think I'm ready to rate it. Zach, why don't you start us off?
Oh boy. What are even? It's been so long. What are the things? Okay, so it's immortal. It's revive, reanimate. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Reanimate, embalm,
Yep.
bury, cremate. Right.
Yeah.
I'll give it a good. I don't know. I think it deserves a reanimate. I think maybe I'm feeling good, but I think this is a fun movie. And I think that actually some of the performances, I think the performances are good, and I think it's worth it to see the comedy juxtaposed with like the scene where Jennifer is like about to be murdered. Like it's hilarious because like the band is like nonchalant about it. Like when that one guy is like kind of panicking about it, and Adam Brody just mouths like, "What the fuck?" But then Jennifer is like Megan Fox is
real
going
terror
for it, sobbing. How I would be sobbing if I was about to be murdered. So I think for that, and just like the fact that this movie is like unapologetically like stupid and fun while still being effectively scary sometimes, I think it deserves a reanimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wes?
Right. I'm gonna give it a reanimate. I think I don't know, this is one of those gems that I found in the pandemic that I really enjoy. I think it's got really good performances. I think it is, like Zach said, effectively scary when it wants to be, and I think it's pretty funny when the rest of the movie. I could see this becoming something like Dan is going to tear every follicle of hair out of his head when I say this. but in terms of cult status, this could be something like Evil Dead, where it has a fan base, or it has people that go to Comic-Cons just to see.
You just keep stacking the hits on top of your own head.
I'm not saying that they're the same quality of film. I'm saying, but like the way people at Comic-Cons go to Bruce Campbell and they're like, say the line.
Yeah.
I could see Megan Fox becoming that kind of figure.
Megan, say my tit.
Say my tit. No, your heart.
That's the best.
No, it's a solid reanimate. It's a high reanimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's reanimations across the board.
Hey.
I think it deserves the revival it's seeing. I also think Megan Fox, I would like to see her work more. Maybe not necessarily in stuff like this, but I also think this is her pocket. I think when she's being hot and funny, people, like especially men, don't understand that those two things are not mutually exclusive, that they can happen at the same time. You can be physically attracted to a woman and she can also be funny. So like I think that this is a great niche for her. I wish she'd ditch Machine Gun Kelly, but maybe what we're witnessing is a real life example of Jennifer's body.
Yeah, because he's the lead singer in this movie. Like, that's Machine Gun Kelly.
She is draining his life force ever so slowly.
You see this man, right? He keeps looking more and more like a Victorian ghost. Every time he shows up in public. Maybe Megan Fox will play Dracula in the Karyn Kusama Dracula movie.
Megan Fox Dracula could be interesting. Or she could play Wilhelmina Harker.
Yeah,
She
could.
That would be interesting.
That'd be fun.
If she's going period with it. But yeah, I think that does it for this episode, Wayward Movie Watchers. I know that next week we're doing Dune. More than likely. It's 2.5 hours long, God help it.
Good Lord.
But I believe that Zach might be out, so we'll be talking about Dan. It's going to be Dan's week again. He's got The Holy Mountain by Jodorowsky for us to watch,
along with Jodorowsky's Dune,
which is a documentary. Yes, so it'll be an interesting chat. But thank you all for joining us. Zach, good to see you.
Good to be back.
Do you want to say anything to the people?
Yeah, I would just thanks for having me back again.
Great. So now.
How did I know that you were going to... No, just end it, Justin.
Check out our back catalog. You know where to find us. Till next time, folks.